I just 3D printed a multicolored Dalek. Let's put it together. Hey, welcome back to the Fab Lab. My name is David Gewirtz. You're watching Advanced Geekery. We are going to do something a little different today. We are going to put together this multicolored Dalek I just printed. And I'll show you the printing process and the setup process as well. This Dalek model came from Thingiverse, and the entire model fits on one build plate in one print. I will include a link to the Thingiverse model below, and you can download it and try it on your own. Anycubic has two FDM or filament slicers. Their older version and the one they call Anycubic Next. Now, Anycubic Next is a much better slicer and contains many more features. But the problem with it is that it does not, for baffling reasons, allow you to remote print when you're on a Mac. They keep telling me that it's going to at some point, but it hasn't. So until I can send my print to the printer, I'm using the older version of the slicer because that's a very important part of my workload. So when you're colorizing something, I've generally used two features. I've used either the paintbrush feature, which let's just grab this yellow, let's grab this black, works like a paintbrush, and you can make the brush size bigger or smaller. But I prefer where you can just do a smart fill and just click on an area of an object and have it fill. And it turns out that for some 3D prints, you can't do that. If you click, it'll fill the whole thing. But for the Dalek model worked out really well. So let's take a look at the Dalek model and how I tuned its colors. So to set up this print, I went ahead and imported the Dalek model. And as you can see, all of the pieces are part of that model. Now, what I did is my first thing to do was I rotated the model to get it to fit within the space. So the next thing that I did was I updated the filament colors to match what's on the ACE device with the 4 filaments. To do this, you have to make sure that the printer and the multi-filament feeder is on. And there we go. And this is what it thinks is silver. This is what it thinks is gold. The black and the blue work pretty well. So you just have to kind of use your imagination that that's not silver, it's, something else. But painting it, creating the paint images for it, a couple things can go on. First off, remember I had just talked about how to you have to select the object. I told you that the paintbrush, the paint bucket is your friend. So if you hit black over here with the paint and you select, you see how it's highlighting this area? That whole area turns black in one shot, but the rest of it doesn't. And where this becomes great is with this ring around the base, and then you can also individually color the balls on the object without having to hand paint that. If you had to get in there with a paintbrush and try to somehow get that painted in just right, I'm not sure it would be doable, or at least certainly not with my skill. Now, I mean, remember, of course, that you can rotate the model around to get to different sides of the model and to get into it. And so, for example, when I went into blue and I made these, no, that's right. I got to go back to the paintbrush. You can also zoom in and zoom out. So I went into these things and made them blue, but I also went into the sides and the tops to make them blue. And again, hang on, moving. Oh, the interesting thing here is you can move the model if your cursor is not on the model. You're using the right key to do the left mouse button to do that. So if I'm here and I click my left mouse button, I fill. But if I'm here and I click my left mouse button, I move the object. So keep that in mind. So what I wound up doing was I would move it around and I would just get into areas. For this area up here, I made these all black and I made just the outsides of these yellow. Now the top part, I didn't like that, so I undid that. I decided to make the rings yellow instead, and I made the top ring, and I'm moving my cursor over here, and the bottom part of the ring also yellow. And so you can see how that comes out. But if I just wanted to make these, see these I can make yellow like that without it flooding everything. But if I want to do this, they're connected. And this is an interesting problem with 3D models, is that the paint fill only works in certain areas when they're separate objects in the 3D model. So you have to be kind of careful with where you're applying your paint. Now, for example, on these fins over here, let's move the model this way. I can make the fins blue and the insides keep them silver. And as I show in the final version of this thing, that's pretty spectacular. I did the same thing here with these fins where I made the outsides of the fins yellow and kept the inside silver. And I also did the same thing down here with the border of the cup. So I made this thing all blue, but I kept the border silver and it came out looking just great. So that's really all there is to it. I mean, you just have to be really selective about where you're applying your colors to. So let's take one quick look at what the final model looked like in the slicer. This is it. One of the things I had to do was move the purge block using the move tool over here because it was originally sort of embedded the in the model. So I moved it out a bit. And that's something to pay attention to when you're doing multicolor printing, is to make sure you look at where the purge block is. Once I slice it, it will be in a different position. I mean, it'll look different, but that's the space it takes up, and that's important to keep track of. Once it's sliced, then just remote print it and send it to the printer. This is going to be my first big 4-color 3D print, and it's also going to be the first time I'm spotlighting making a thing that's like a Dalek or something like that, as opposed to a process. But it's going to be kind of fun. Maybe what we'll be doing as we look at the other multicolor 3D printers is we'll build some big things and look at what they look like when they're done and how they go together. Now, this guy, unfortunately, wound up with some fuzz and some layer line shifting on top. And we're going to see whether we can save it enough to at least get a feel for what's involved. So with that, let me take it off of the build plate here and bring it over to the workbench, and we're going to see what we can find and whether or not the supports come out and how it all looks.
This program is sponsored in part by the Advanced Geekery Weekly newsletter. Want exclusive access to my latest ZDNet articles, behind-the-scenes updates on my projects, and must-watch YouTube videos curated just for you? How about fascinating reads from around the web and a chance to have your own project spotlighted? It's all in the newsletter. And the best part, subscribing is absolutely free. Don't wait, click the link below to get your weekly issue and make it awesome.
Okay, so I am set up on my workbench over here with the Dalek pieces on the build plate. And by the way, I want to thank Anycubic for providing the filament. I use their silk filament, their silver silk and gold silk filament, as well as blue and black. So I do really want to say thank you for that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the shards of stuff in here, and then later on we'll try to assemble it. But first, let's just see if we can get it off the build plate. This piece fell off. I'll have to glue that on later and see if I can save its end. All right, so let's see whether or not the flexible build plate lets this thing survive. Okay, so the first part is loose. Start see dust. There we go. Okay, so this part of the Dalek is loose. And under here. Yep, there it goes. Okay, so this piece is now loose. You can see the Dalek here, and you can see that we've got support. I'm just going to pop these supports out. They come off very easily. And here is a view of the sort of damaged part of it. You can kind of see how the layer lines have shifted. You see it here. The layer lines have kind of shifted. The layer lines have shifted, but it's secure. It's not like I can pry that thing up. And it doesn't look perfect, but it's not bad. All right, so let's get the supports off the other one and see where we stand. So let's first remove the other gun. It doesn't seem to want to come. I try to pop some of these pieces loose. Actually cut the main support here. And here. Give me a better chance. Yeah, there's the other gun. There we go. Basically what I'm doing now is just trying to get the bulk of the supports off and then see what needs to be cleaned up and what's been welded to it and so forth. As you can see, I'm using tree supports for this. And a lot of them are on pretty strongly. All right, this one, oh, that's coming off. Okay, so we're getting a set of these coming off. Just a quick look at the part that's nice. It's turning out to look not too bad. I think I'm going to start again with the bottom. That'll help loosen it. Now let's try pliers. Yeah, the pliers are the trick. Okay. That is the key to the whole process. A little bit of persuasion. All right, so I'm not cleaning it up yet. I just want you to take a look at it. So there you go. Something pretty good. All right, so just as a preview, exterminate, 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 exterminate. Okay, so we have our pieces. Grab a couple more of these off of here. I'm looking at this, and there are, there are a couple of little problem areas that need to be cleaned up, but it's not bad. I mean, especially from a foot away, you're just not going to notice any of that. So let me do a minute of cleaning up, and then let's see where we get. I think that's pretty good. I think we can call the top. I mean, the supports did not do that much damage to this. It looks pretty good. So I think this one is done. And check out the gold and silver technique on here. How the edge of that's gold and the rest of it's silver. That's really cool. This one has this support inside. So let's see if that's hard to pull out. Nope, it came right out. So this weapon is ready. And this guy, he's not exactly what he's supposed to be. But it will kind of fit in anyway. So I think we'll figure out which one we want to put them in. Probably should go up here. When I do gluing, especially with cyanoacrylic glue, I like to use gloves, and I like to use a surface so it doesn't get on what I'm doing. I am using this glue, which I like quite a lot, and I'm using activator, which I also like quite a lot. Now, I like this activator, the Bob Smith Industries activator, and the reason I like this is because it's small, and I can give it a more of a controllable squirt than I can with the big spray cans of activator. So now I think what I'm going to do is I think I am going to first put, well, it'll be easier for you to see me do these pieces first. So just to test fit, they come out kind of like so. So I think I'm going to do these first so you can see me put them in. And then I'll attach the head to the body and see where we're at. What do you think? Should we put the glue in and activate this? I think it might be easier. Oh yeah, maybe that's what we'll do. We'll put the glue in the holes, inside the holes, and we'll put the activator on these things. And a little bit around the outside. Take a little bit of spray hit. There. In we go. Hold it for a sec. And we are done. All right, so now on the next one, we'll do the same thing. Drop some glue in the hole. And around. In there. And that guy's done. Okay. Right around the edge of this thing. Like that. And hopefully, you should be able to just place and hold on top. And nail that bad boy with some activator. Now it's holding. The benefits of activator. Okay. We have the top. We have the head. Let's take the bottom piece. And I'll run some activator along the bottom here. And I'll run some glue. Some in here. And then we want to make sure we get this right. Boom. We, excuse. That's pretty cool. All right. So that's our little Dalek. How cool is that? So this process took 38 hours to print, and looks like about a half a spool of the silver and about a quarter spool of the other three filaments. There was some setup time to make sure I chose all the right colors that I wanted where I wanted them. And of course, you've been watching me put it together. But I mean, that is just wildly cool. I mean, I printed it. I 3D printed a Dalek, way back when, the same model, just using one color, and I never got around to painting it because I'm not a painter. But this is just really cool. So let me know in the comments below if you like these little build project videos where we actually build a model or creation of something and walk through the steps, because I can definitely do more. I'm going to have you know, we've got a couple printers here to test out, and I might as well create wonderful test objects while I'm doing it. And that's that for this advanced geekery. My name is David Gewirtz. Go out there and exterminate something awesome.